Making headlines this hour. Environment Minister says government has contracted projects to develop waste management centres in 109 islands. Government awards contracts to build mosques in a dozen islands, along with a centre for Holy Quran in another 2. National Carrier Maldivian announces the introduction of direct flights between Hanimadu and Bangalore, India.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Minha Maroof. Minister of Tourism and Environment Tariq Ibrahim says that the government has so far contracted the development of waste management centres on 109 islands as part of its efforts to tackle waste management challenges. He made this announcement during a ceremony to award contracts for facilities on 75 islands. Described as the administration's largest and most comprehensive program addressing waste-related issues in the outer islands, the government has said that the initiative marks a significant step in its broader agenda to establish sustainable and efficient waste management systems across the nation. Projects to develop waste management facilities on the 75 islands were entrusted to 3 state-owned enterprises: Maldives Transport and Contracting Company (MTCC), Road Development Corporation (RDC), and Fenaka Corporation. Speaking at the signing ceremony, Minister Ibrahim highlighted the profound impact of the directive issued by President Dr. Mohamed Moizu to ensure that all inhabited islands receive waste management centres customized to their unique needs. This phase of the program not only includes the construction of new facilities but also the renovation and upgrading of existing centres. According to the Environment Ministry, MTCC will oversee projects on 26 islands, RDC on 24 islands, and Fenaka Corporation on 25 islands. Highlighting the environmental and economic stakes, Minister Ibrahim noted the dual importance of these efforts. The agreements were formalized with the signatures of key representatives. Minister Tariq signed on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, while RDC Chief Brigadier General retired Ali Zuhair, MTCC Chief Deputy Commissioner of Police retired Ahmad Saudi, and Fenaka Chief Muhammad Najat represented their respective entities. As work progresses, government officials reported that waste management centres are currently being developed on 100 islands, with several existing facilities undergoing extensive upgrades. During the ceremony, senior officials from MTCC, RDC and Fenaka Corporation affirmed their commitment to executing the project in accordance and agreed timelines. They confirmed that mobilization efforts are set to begin within the month and with physical construction scheduled to commence immediately following the fasting month of Ramadan. The latest contracts build upon the government's overarching efforts to revolutionize waste management infrastructure across the country. According to the Environment Ministry, of the 109 islands under contract, development and upgrades on 17 islands were successfully completed in 2024, with other projects currently progressing at varying stages. Government awards the contracts to build mosques in a dozen islands along with a centre for Holy Quran in another 2. The contracts were signed with state-owned firms Fenaka Corporation and Maldives Transport and Contracting Company (MTCC). This marks the start of President Dr. Mohamed Moizu's presidential pledge to build new mosques in 35 islands across the Maldives. The mosque will be built in 11 islands in addition to the Islamic Center in Fokaidu, Shaviani Atoll. The contracts to build Quran centers in Mabaidu, Lamo Atoll and Oluvelifushi, Laviani Atoll were also awarded. Fenaka was awarded the contract to build the Fokaidu Islamic Center, the 2 Quran centers and mosques in 8 other islands. The agreement was signed by the Minister of Islamic Affairs, Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Saeed, while Managing Director Muhammad Naja signed the agreement on behalf of Fenaka. The contract to build 3 mosques was awarded to MTCC, which was being signed by its Managing Director Ahmad Saeed. According to the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, the mosque will be completed within 2 years, equipped with space for Quran classes. It said that the Quran centers will be equipped with 3 classrooms, a library and a conference hall. Minister of Islamic Affairs Dr. Muhammad Shaheen Ali Saeed expresses confidence that President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu's initiatives will bring about development and growth to the Maldives Islamic sector. He made the statement at the signing ceremony to commence the practical work of key projects promised for the Islamic sector by the President. On March 15, the government signed contracts with state-owned firms Feneco Corporation Limited and Maldives Transport and Contracting Company MTCC, marking the start of President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu's presidential pledge to build new mosques in 35 islands across the Maldives. The mosques will be built in 11 islands in addition to the Islamic Center in Phokadu, Shaviani Atoll. The contracts to build Quran centers in Mabalidu, Lamu Atoll and Oluwelifushi, Laviani Atoll were also awarded on March 16th. Speaking at the ceremony, the Islamic minister said the president is implementing his policies based on the people's desires, following direct consultation with the people. The projects being launched are also similarly pursued projects, he stated. He expressed confidence that President Muizzu would undertake several projects in the Islamic sector which will be closely monitored by the President himself. The minister further said the completion of projects will see Quran classes established in mosques and air conditioners installed in the mosques, as well as the integration of solar panels. He said that the mosque design will be tailored to the Maldivian environment and will create areas that ensure comfort for worshippers. The Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure has commissioned Feneco Corporation to complete long-pending water supply and sewerage projects on 3 islands. The stalled initiative situated on Maungudu and Narudu in Shaviani Atoll, as well as Lohi in Nunu Atoll, will now be overseen by the state-run utilities provider. The agreement was formalized during a recent signing ceremony where State Minister Hassan Rashid represented the ministry and Managing Director Muhammad Najjar acted on behalf of the corporation. Under the terms of the agreement, Feneco Corporation has been allocated 540 days to finalize the remaining works. Ministry officials have revealed that the total cost of these projects will reach $7.84 million. The expenses broken down by island include $3.2 million designated for Maungudu, $2.39 million designated for Narudu, and $2.45 million for Lohi. The national carrier Maldivian announces the introduction of direct flights between Hanimadu and Bengaluru, India. This new route is set to commence operations on 15th May, creating a crucial connection between northern Maldives and one of India's major metropolitan hubs.
According to the airline, this service is expected to significantly ease travel for Indian tourists seeking to visit the northern atolls of the Maldives. It will also provide a more convenient travel option for the residents in the northern Maldives who will no longer need to transit through the capital Malé to reach India. Tickets for the Hanimadu-Bengaluru route will be available for booking starting 16th March. According to Maldivian, it has scheduled twice weekly flights for this route operating on Sundays and Thursdays. Ibrahim Iyaz, Managing Director of Maldivian, noted that the airline's existing flights between Hanimadu and Thiruvananthapuram, India, which operate twice weekly. He described the introduction of the Bengaluru route as a part of Maldives' broader effort to increase its international presence and strengthen connections between the islands of the Maldives and key international cities. This initiative aligns with the administration's aim to extend Maldivians' reach to additional international destinations. President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu has made the enhancement of the national airline service a priority. On 6 January, the president fulfilled an electoral pledge by acquiring a wide-body aircraft for Maldivian's fleet, a step forward in strengthening the airline's capacity. The acquisition has already enabled Maldivian to operate flights to multiple international destinations, including 3 major cities in China, Beijing, Shanghai, and Chengdu. The airline is now working on securing an additional wide-body aircraft as part of its strategy to further expand its services to other international destinations, including major European cities. The state electric company Stelco has taken a significant step to meet rising electricity demands in Hurumale by commissioning a new backup powerhouse ahead of the peak consumption season. Named as the Hurumale Annex 2 powerhouse, the facility was developed in record time. Spanning a 48,000 square foot plot, the powerhouse is set to reinforce Hurumale's energy capacity, anticipating increased usage following Ramadan. Stelco celebrated the milestone with an inauguration ceremony attended by Managing Director Hussein Fahmi. During his address, Fahmi commended the extraordinary commitment of the company staff, highlighting their ability to deliver results under challenging time constraints. This year, electricity consumption during Ramadan is expected to remain stable, according to Fahmi, a break from historical trends. He attributed this stability to a directive by President Dr. Muizu to close government offices during the final 10 days of Ramadan, a period that aligns with school holidays. Despite the steadiness during Ramadan, Fahmi highlighted the challenges ahead. He warned that electricity demand is projected to rise sharply in the post-Ramadan period, driven by the onset of hot weather. To address this, Fahmi assured that Stelco is fully prepared to maintain an uninterrupted power supply during this critical time. Two Dornier Tu-28 aircraft from the era of Air Maldives has been submerged in picnic island Kudagiri's lagoon to create a historic dive site, Kudagiri Dunia Rek. The site was developed as a collaboration between Maldives Marketing and Public Relations Corporation Limited MMPRC, Housing Development Corporation Limited HDC, and Maldives Transport and Contracting Company MTCC. Under the government's efforts to promote tourism in the Maldives. The submerged aircraft was once part of the Air Maldives, the Maldives' first national airline and flag carrier, which ceased operations in 2000. According to HDC, the name Dunia combines the Divehi word for Duni, translated as bird, with Dornier, representing the aircraft as a bird that symbolizes the beginning of the Maldives aviation industry. HDC said that the company will be undertaking coral planting to create an artificial reef ecosystem to increase the site's appeal to tourists and visitors. The site will be maintained by HDC. Minister of Tourism and Environment Thorik Ibrahim, HDC's Managing Director Muhammad Maruf Jamil, and Ooredoo Maldives senior officials were in attendance at the event held to launch the dive site. Government agencies are undertaking significant efforts to strengthen the tourism sector and promote the Maldives as a top tourism destination. The government aims to host 2.3 million tourists this year. State Trading Organization STO announces that the company has completed the sourcing of essential medicine. The government has recognized that the expenditures on pharmaceuticals constitute one of the largest and most wasteful costs within the healthcare system. The National Insurance System, managed by Arsan the Company Limited, reports that over half of its expenses are related to the importation of medicines, a figure that continues to rise annually. In response, President Dr. Muhammad Muizu has mandated measures to prevent the sale of imported medicines at exorbitant profits. The government has also tasked SDO, the largest wholesaler of pharmaceuticals in the country, to expand its supply to all prescription drugs on the national list of essential medicines. SDO said that the sourcing of most medicine on the list has now been completed and efforts are now underway to supply medicines throughout the country. The company said the fresh supply would also ease the present shortage in essential medicines in the country, adding that it would ensure continuous supply to prevent such shortages in the future. Under the advice of health institutions and healthcare professionals, SDO said it will continue to identify the most important and required medicines for the Maldives. In addition to the medicines on the essentials list,
The company assured that it will put in every effort to ensure sustainable and uninterrupted availability of these medicines in the Maldives. German carmaker BMW says it expected tariffs to cost it 1 billion euros this year, while European officials warned the US economy would be the biggest loser if President Donald Trump pursues an idiotic trade war.
BMW is directly in the firing line of the escalating trade spat between Washington and the European Union. U.S. President Trump has increased tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum imports and imposed a 25% duty on some vehicles from Mexico, including BMWs, and threatened more tariffs on the EU, which he has called hostile and abusive. The EU has vowed to retaliate while calling for dialogue. BMW's chief executive Oliver Zipse, meanwhile, said the company expected a 1 billion euro hit to its 2025 earnings from the newly imposed U.S. tariffs and EU duties on its China-made electric vehicles.
In the United States, 1 out of every 2 vehicles from our plant in Spartanburg, South Carolina, is exported. Last year, we achieved an export value of over 10 billion US dollars. This once again makes the BMW Group the largest automotive exporter in the United States by value. We benefit from an integrated global economy, and that is why we continue to advocate for open markets and free trade.
He described the firm's estimate of the impact as conservative, but said executives did not expect all the tariffs imposed so far to remain in place for the whole year. BMW, one of Europe's biggest car makers, reported a 37% drop in its profits for last year.
U.S. President Donald Trump launches military strikes against Yemen's Houthis over the group's attacks against Red Sea shipping, warning hell will rain down upon you if the Houthis do not abandon their campaign.
Trump also warned Iran, the Houthis' main backer, that it needed to immediately halt support to the group. He said if Iran threatened the United States, America will hold them fully accountable and America won't be nice about it. At least 9 civilians were killed and 9 injured in U.S. strikes on Yemen's Sana'a, according to the Houthi-run health ministry. Residents in Sana'a said the strikes hit a building in a stronghold of the militant Houthi group. The Houthis launched more than 100 attacks targeting shipping from November 2023, saying they were in solidarity with Palestinians over Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza. The attack marks the first strikes to hit Yemen since the Gaza ceasefire deal took effect in January. The unfolding strikes represent the biggest U.S. military operation in the Middle East since Trump took office in January, and came as the United States ramps up sanctions pressure on Tehran while trying to bring it to the negotiation table over its nuclear program.
The commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guards promises a firm, crushing and devastating response to any threat at a ceremony in the northwest of the country.
Speaking at a ceremony in Tabriz, General Hosseini Salami also warned Iran's enemies would repeat past mistakes and be defeated, referring to Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The audience chanted and raised their fists in response to the speech by Salami. U.S. President Donald Trump launched military strikes against Yemen's Houthis on Saturday over the group's attacks against Red Sea shipping, warning hell will rain down upon you if the Houthis do not abandon their campaign. Trump also warned Iran, the Houthis' main backer, that it needed to immediately halt support to the group. He said that if Iran threatened the United States, America will hold them fully accountable and the country won't be nice about it. At least 9 civilians were killed and 9 injured in U.S. strikes on Yemen's Sana'a, according to the Houthi-run health ministry. In February, Trump restored his maximum pressure campaign on Iran that includes efforts to drive its oil exports down to zero in order to stop it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. In 2015, Iran agreed to curb its nuclear program in exchange for the lifting of international sanctions in a deal with the U.S., Russia, China, Britain, France, and Germany. But in 2018, Donald Trump, a year into his first term as U.S. president, pulled out of the pact.
Marc Marquez bet his younger brother Alex in March 15 sprint at the Argentina Grand Prix to extend his lead in the MotoGP Championship, and Francisco Bagnaia came in third as Ducati swept the podium.
Marc had clinched his second straight pole of the season with a lap record earlier on Saturday, and the Spaniard led from start to finish, with Gresini's Alex finishing less than a second behind him. The sprint podium was a repeat of the season-opening Grand Prix in Thailand, as Marc Marquez moved up to 49 points and Alex is 11 points behind.
Yeah, it was nice to start on pole position again and to win a race, a sprint race, sorry. Tomorrow will be the main race, and we need to keep working because looks like the track is changing practice by practice, and I think we can improve a bit with the bike setup. But today we had a very strong brother. Alex was riding super fast. I was pushing, I was riding on that 37th, but he was behind me just on +0 on the slipstream, and yeah, then if I was thinking if he attacked me, means that he's much faster. But yeah, when remained 4 laps, I tried to put an extra step there with the used tire, and I was able to be fast and then manage the distance in the last 2 laps.
Johan Zarco had done well to put a Honda bike on the front row for the first time since 2023, but the Frenchman made a poor start and fell behind, eventually finishing 4th. In the Moto2, Liqui Dynavolt Intact's Manuel Gonzalez had the fastest lap in qualifying to take pole position, while MTA's Matteo Bertelle took pole in the Moto3.
A SpaceX capsule delivers 4 astronauts to the International Space Station in a NASA crew swap mission that will allow a pair of astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, to return home after an unplanned 9 months on the orbiting lab.
About 29 hours since launching on March 14 from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, the Crew 10 astronauts' SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule docked to the ISS on March 16. Otherwise a crew rotation flight, the Crew 10 mission is a long-awaited first step to bring Wilmore and Williams back to Earth, part of a plan set by NASA last year that has been given greater urgency by President Donald Trump since he took office in January. Wilmore and Williams, both of whom are veteran NASA astronauts and retired U.S. Navy test pilots, have remained on the station after problems with Boeing's Starliner capsule forced NASA to bring it back empty.
And that's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant day ahead.
ಬರಕಾತೆರೆ ರಮಲಾನ್ ಮಹುಗೆ ಹೇ ಒಯ್ದುಮಾತ ಹುನಿಯಾ ಟಿವಿ ಬಲ್ಲವಾ ಲೋಬಿತಿ ರೈತುನಂ ಅರಿಸ್ಕುರಂ